Hi, Adrian.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Thanks to modern technology, we can all be together.
I know, I'm so glad.
It's crazy.
So we're here to talk about our new EP, Out of Body.
Yes. Can we talk about shit?
Yes, we can talk about shit.
No.
Let's talk about shit, baby. What do you want to talk about?
Well, here's the problem. We get, especially with social media, I don't know about you, but every show I do, somebody runs up to me and is like, when are we going to get more Dirty Sanchez? And I'm sure that you get that too, Adrian, and you've told me that you get it also.
It's true.
And I don't know what to tell people. We want to do it. We're just all three so busy, which sounds so stupid, especially in this day and age. But so we just made a conscious point to at least do a couple of songs.
Right.
And
I mean, we started this, 20 years ago? And, at first it was more of a formula involved with the record labels and getting things done in deadlines. We really started.
well, the music industry was completely different.
It was a very
back
different
then.
world back then. So now we don't really follow any formulas. It kind of feels like we're just kind of making it up as we go when we have the time and when we're in the mood to create something. I know you'll come up with a song out of nowhere, and I feel like there is no strict formula that we have been following. So, and the same goes for this EP. I mean, one of our songs you had written quite some time ago. We just never completed it,
Yeah, and I don't want to suck all the glamour out of it, but it's literally like Barbeau calling and saying, "Can you come over and record this?"
Right.
Or here's some music.
So Out of Body, when we initially recorded the demo, it was quite a while ago. It was very, very different, and it changed quite a bit from then to what it is now. We did have a lot of bumping heads as to where the sound was going, and now it's kind of sort of dancey, beat driven, where before it was a lot more melodic.
It's a little heavy.
The song Out of Body, Jackie wrote beautiful lyrics about my sister who passed away. May she rest in peace.
But I have to say, I wrote it while she was still alive.
That's true.
And she was struggling and, doing a lot of medical procedures. And I just thought, God, I just thought of the phrase out of body, like just to be able to escape the confines and the pain of your body and, go somewhere else. And you can actually do that.
Yes, and to be more clear, my sister was bipolar, schizoaffective. And in her disorder, she had delusions. And what we had spoken about a lot in regards to my sister is the many times that I had been with her, and she shared with me all these dreams and ideas and plans that she had. And me knowing full well that she wasn't going to be able to pursue these dreams because of her physical state. As sad as that is, and as tragic as it may seem, there was a beauty in it. This disorder protected her from the reality of her existence and the ideas in her mind. All of these things that she was going to do and all of these dreams that she was going to pursue were possible. She was living those dreams, even though it wasn't a physical reality.
Yeah, and that just goes to show you the importance of hope and fantasy and dreams.
It's a beautiful song. Your lyrics are wonderful. My mother loves this song. It's her favorite song.
Oh, well, great. We have one fan.
We got a fan.
How old is she? Just kidding.
And the process of producing this song, again, back to our formula,
Before you get to the formula, I just want to make sure, can everyone see my nails?
I think you're
I'm
doing a good
this
job
look at these
showcasing
nails. That's the
Okay.
Dirty Sanchez way.
It's really good.
Matchy.
So, in regards to our formula, I don't think we have a very clear way of doing things. It feels like it's a little different every time, whether it's Barbeau, you creating some sort of a bass line that we will work off of, or if Jackie comes up with a lyric. Those are usually the two main starting points for us. Oftentimes, Barbeau will produce a song all on his own. Sometimes I sit by his side and we produce together. So I feel like each song has a little bit of all of us in it.
Yeah, but usually the music comes first.
Usually the music does come first. Yeah, that's true. And how many tracks have we started that we've never finished? And
Oh
you know,
my God.
it's
A
the kind of
lot.
thing where, you know, again, like Jackie said, we all have very busy schedules, different career paths that we're involved in. So it really is when we feel like we have the time and the energy to put into Dirty Sanchez. It feels like we have a comeback every 5 or 7 years.
But I do have to say one thing. I mean, like, you know me, I always go to like, I'm the drag queen and I have to spend hours getting ready. I'm always bitching about that. But no, I mean, this needs to be said out loud. Like, I don't think, I'll never understand how much work it takes to write music and come up with these sounds and, you know, so, you know, I may be like, oh, why doesn't, you know, hey, Adrian, you know, why aren't you doing more and just send it to me and we
Right.
can, it sounds easy. And listen, it can be. And
Listen,
there
I
have
have
been a few times.
incredible respect for your skill set as an engineer and producer. I
Me
mean,
too.
in the times when we produce together, it can be a very tedious task to spend hours and hours in front of the same sounds over and over. You have to sleep on it and come back to it. It's a lot. It can be very, very draining, you know.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. Producing Out of Body was probably the most production I've ever done on any Dirty Sanchez track. I think that I remember logging in something like 60 plus hours just to try to get the sounds right. And it was a long process. So don't think that, you know, this is like a fucking on the dance floor where we literally wrote that shit in 5 minutes. Probably why it's so genius. So there was a moment in Out of Body where Mario was really unhappy with the drums. And I remember we had this back and forth where he was just not happy with how they sounded. And I was so anti just listening to what he had to say. But in the end, he was right. The drums were kind of weak and you'll probably hear them and see exactly what he said or exactly what he thought. But we ended up changing them and they worked.
But I will say this, sometimes, because sometimes things just happen. Like
Right.
it just like, oh my God, these words match this music perfectly. And sometimes it's almost like cosmic and it just happens.
I love that.
And occasionally we're like, that was too easy. And I'm like, no, don't argue. It worked.
Yeah, knowing
So-
when to stop, knowing when to pull back. These are all
Yeah.
important things. But also, it's not always that easy. You know, we're not always aligned in our instincts, right?
Yeah, one of the early incarnations was very different than anything we had ever done, and that actually excited me. I thought it was actually very beautiful and very
was.
melodic.
Very
and
emotional.
yeah, but now I feel like it's kind of both. I
It
will
is.
say we do butt heads because sometimes we're like, do we want to go with a retro sort of Tahitian look or like a Lisa Frank thing? What?
I feel like, does this orange and pink not work? It's
It works
okay.
totally. I mean, totally
It
works.
totally works. Well, let's talk about Supernature then, since we're there.
Cerrone.
Cerrone, French disco pioneer, someone we've always loved. We've always had an affection.
Wait.
Yeah.
Are you sure he's French?
Oh yeah, he's French.
I thought he was Italian.
No, he's French, but I mean, all of his work has been recorded in America or the UK.
Right.
One of our favorite sounds. We've always had an affection for like dark wave and, you know, that sort of more Italo disco sound. And I think this EP is specifically that. It has kind of a sci-fi tone to it. It's very dark and melodic, and it's synth disco, which is something that we grew up with and love. Maybe a little less of a party album as our first self-titled
Well,
album.
there's definitely a little less humor.
Right.
The album was a little more B-52s.
Right.
Supernature kind of encapsulates the sound that we wanted at the time that we were working on this new EP. We wanted to do something sort of dark disco. I think at that time we were calling this the Haunted Disco EP. And it just fit perfectly within the realm of that sound. So Supernature, I believe Mario may have suggested it. And it just so happened to be one of those songs. It just so happened to be one of those songs that all three of us loved. and which is hard when you're doing a cover, because usually when you're doing a cover, you all have to agree that it's something you all want to do. So just because it was flowing and the timing was perfect, we just did it.
This is something we really have all equally are passionate about, this sound. So it's fun to be able to release these songs, and Supernature specifically is one of my all-time favorites.
Oh, I mean, there's a reason so many people have covered it.
Yeah, it's just perfect, which is like, why are we covering a song that's already perfect? But
Because
I think we put our own stink on it. It definitely has our sound to it. He made some great quotes. Did you know Lena Levitch wrote the original lyrics to Supernature? I thought that's an interesting. I know, isn't that wild?
Wait a minute, are you serious?
Yeah, I am.
That's so funny because the Lena Lovitch song Lucky Number
Right.
was written by Thomas Dolby.
Oh, cool. He referred to Supernature, Cerrone referred to Supernature as a cautionary tale of humankind's effect on the planet, something of the sort.
Oh, he was ahead of his time.
He really was ahead of his time. And he referred to his beats as summoning the monsters, something of the sort. It really does have that kind of a vibe about it.
When I was listening back to the EP and after it was finally sequenced and mastered and mixed and everything, I remember thinking that it was very, very different from all the other Dirty Sanchez stuff that we had done. And then at one point, it all kind of almost clicked together, and I thought, no, this is actually a really, really natural progression for what Dirty Sanchez is going into in the future. Supernature reminds me a lot of Dig It and the early stuff. It just has that like heavy arpeggiation, and it drives, and it's really kind of haunting and dancey and very dancey. So it actually is very naturally a Dirty Sanchez song, even though it was written by Cerrone, French artists, in the 70s. So it actually worked perfectly on that EP.
It's just a beautiful song. I'm really excited for everyone to hear our version of Supernature. I think it's great.
Yeah, give it a listen and summon some monsters. What the fuck?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Can we talk about the EP cover art?
Oh,
Which
yeah.
I wish I looked like that. Hello?
It really matched the tone of the EP perfectly with the futuristic element to it and such great illustration. And I love that you can feel the illustrative aspect of it. It doesn't feel like AI, which is kind of takes the soul out of so much artistry.
The cover art was designed by Nick Lopez, who is an illustrator that I found on Instagram a few years ago. And I really, really loved what he was doing. And I wanted to work with him for a really, really long time. And this just so happened to kind of fall into place at the right time, right place, right time kind of situation. Just asked him if he would be interested, and he jumped at the chance, and now we have this beautiful cover art. What do you guys think? What I love about it is that it's giving me Flash Gordon era, and that's actually another thing. He pointed out a lot of really great things. Flash Gordon and Flash Gordon were actually a couple of the things that he mentioned in the direction that he wanted to go. He was just naming off a bunch of amazing things at the get-go that Mario and I were like, this is the guy. This is it. Let's do it.
Also, I love that the alien in it has the ball gag, so there's that little bit of humor.
A little camp to it. 'Cause
Yeah.
we always got to have a little camp.
Always gotta be campy.
Dirty Sanchez, baby.
What?
What? I'm sorry. I hate that title. We should change our name.
Oh my God, I was thinking the same thing as I was driving here. No, you guys, literally, I just want to say this out loud. First of all, it is so beyond late 90s, early 2000s. Second of all, when we came up with that name, we just liked the sound of it.
Yes, it rolled off the tongue.
Nobody knew what it meant. And
No.
also, we did a lot of really explicit songs, like Fucking on the Dance Floor and stuff like that.
Dig It was pretty raunchy.
Yeah, Get It Wet. So anyway, here's my point. Like, when we came up with that name, it wasn't the name of, a TV show on MTV.
Right.
Nobody knew what it meant. So it was our little secret.
It felt kind of elusive, so there was something kind of cool about it.
Yeah, it was like an inside joke.
It felt cool at the time, but now it carries feces with it. Oh, the
It's
beauty of the dynamics.
Phrased very
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a beautiful dynamic.
Beauty
There have
dynamic.
been some fights. God, I remember right before going on stage, you and Barbeau, oh my God, screaming at each other.
Well, he's an asshole.
And here's what happens is that all this chaos,
Just kidding.
we go out on stage, she's released it all, she's having the time of her life, and I'm out there stressing out.
The fight that Jackie and I had before we went on stage, I honestly don't even remember what we were fighting about, but I remember at one point Mario was like, Adrian, go for a walk right now. Jackie, you go over there, you go over there. And I don't remember what it was, but I was completely prepared to just like slap her. And she was yelling at me, I was yelling at her, and it was probably something really stupid. And then we get on stage and she turns around like during asymmetric or something. She turns around, she's like, and she just says sorry. And she has this like cheesy fucking grin on her face. And all I could do was just laugh. Obviously, I didn't hold on to any of that. She wasn't holding on to any of it.
Well, that's because I'm Italian.
And
I've talked about this a lot in relationships I've had, friendships, lovers. You Italians will scream and yell and say the worst possible things. 5 minutes later, they're over it.
I know, it is kind of nice.
And then the other person is like, well, wait a minute.
So you're right. The way that this was phrased was a little weird. This came from one of our Instagram followers. I think what they meant was what is our dynamics? Like, who are we? And like I may have said earlier, we kind of have our roles. Like, I write the music, I sort of come up with the sound, Jackie writes the lyrics, Mario is in charge of like how we look and producing who we are as a band. And then when we come together, when we're actually in the same room, then it all sort of comes together. Like, all those things fit into a nice little mold where we sit together and we work on music together. We even produce together. But we do have our very specific roles as to who we are within the band. And I think that's maybe what they meant. Like, why does it work? I think it works because we all have a certain role and we tend, for the most part, to stick to it.
Okay.
I'm also going to say...
I forgot the question.
Of course. What do you mean?
Dynamic?
I forgot what am I talking to?
Our beautiful dynamic? No, my brain isn't functioning.
When I do my solo stuff, it's comedy. When you call something comedy, it doesn't matter what happens, there's no pressure. But pop music, especially like super cool, underground, electroclat, whatever you want to call it, then there's a whole cool factor, and I have never thought I was cool.
Right.
So that's where the nervousness comes.
I get it.
Oh my God, I'm older than everyone in the audience. And remember, I was so like, oh my God, this is so stupid, and why are we doing this?
And also you...
No, but then we walked out on stage. I remember the Key Club, it was beyond packed.
So good.
And these kids knew every single word to every single song. I didn't.
It's true.
Anyway.
You got to be free. She couldn't think of the lyrics. And the line, "You got to be free," came out of her mouth.
It is one of my most humiliating. All of a sudden, we went from Dirty Sanchez to Enya.
Ah,
oh my God. We have a question from a fan. That
what is it?
question is why? Why do you do this? And why don't you give up? Because you clearly are very bad at it.
That's a wonderful idea. I feel like this is it. This is probably the last interview Dirty Sanchez will do. I don't really see us doing any more music together. This project has not been fruitful.
Or fun.
I hate these people.
I hate you.
I hate you. I hate this band. I hate this process. We're over. We suck.
Oh my God, I